Welcome to Forensic Friday.
Where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all.
Good evening.
Good evening. As if we hadn't already worked together, I don't know, 10 hours, something like that,
Literally all day.
all day long. We were apart for a commute.
I commute. Okay, I have to bring something up that is just wild to me.
Yeah.
What is with women being attracted to serial killers when they are in prison?
I mean, I prefer handsome nerds. That's sort of my realm.
Right.
I don't know, Nat. I don't get it at all. Nothing says sexy like murdered several people in horrific fashion.
Women murdered several
So
women.
hot.
Insane.
Unbelievable.
Yes. So I say that because there's all this hype
Hmm.
about this guy who's in prison in Florida right now named Wade Wilson.
Ugh.
Bona fide insanity.
Oh, they're calling him the Deadpool killer because
Cool.
in Deadpool, the alter ego's name is Wade Wilson.
Sweet.
And Deadpool's in theaters. The timing of this is all very weird.
It's super weird.
And this guy looks nuts, about as nuts as a person can look. He's got all the tattoos kind of on one side of his face. It's,
But some of them continue. He has like the whole skull thing.
yeah, there's just a lot.
It's a whole thing. So
I dug into his childhood a bit.
good. Okay. Do you want to start there?
Yep, I think we start from the beginning.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about where things stand now, and I know you've got a whole bunch of stuff. So,
Yeah, I got the crime that he is currently waiting sentencing for.
yeah, and I mean I got to say like when it comes to resumes, his tattoos are rivaled only by his criminal resume. I mean, it's if there was an application for like COO of criminal operations, like he's the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
He looks
Mm-hmm.
bonkers. And then his resume, and there's nothing this man hasn't done.
Oh, I know. It's insane. Okay,
Nothing.
tell me about him.
I got you. Okay. So Wade Wilson was born to his biological parents who were 13 and 14 years old at the time.
Oh, they were
They
babies.
were like babies,
They were
baby
such
babies,
babies.
13 and 14. They placed him for adoption with Steve and Candace Wilson. So
Okay.
I'm assuming that's where the name, right? Wilson. He was
Yeah.
adopted by the Wilsons in Tallahassee. So he was born in Florida, adopted in Florida. He went through school. He went through Deer Lake Middle School and Lawton Childs High School. And really, what I was able to find, can't find a lot about his early childhood. Did you find anything in early childhood?
Just that it was relatively normal. Like he was a normal kid. I saw a picture and he looks average.
If anything, like doughy face, like kind of a baby face.
Yeah.
He got some tattoos, I'm thinking in adolescence, but it didn't go up to his face for some time.
Yeah. Yeah.
People described his upbringing as just a really nice house in the suburbs, church-going family, which I know doesn't mean a whole lot, but church-going family.
Mm.
But he just was difficult from a young age, at least from adolescence. So, like, he stole his parents' car and would disappear. He would pass drugs around at lunch. Like, he and his friends
Mm.
didn't really eat, they would use drugs.
Solid.
They would wear black hoodies. He and one of his good friends would wear black hoodies with the hood over their head all day,
Yeah.
every day,
Hmm.
which is just a choice, fashion choice, whatever.
Yeah.
Smoked a ton of weed, all the weed. I have a theory about that we'll get to later also.
Yeah. Yep.
Always all the girls. Either had
Uh-huh.
a girlfriend, flirting with the girls, whatever. Even though he was not spectacularly good looking, I don't think he's good looking at any point in time, but it's not like he was some super handsome high school kid either. I mean, he's just kind of like your average, whatever.
I think in his late teens, before he went to prison, I will agree with you. I don't think he was necessarily a good-looking guy, but he was like handsome. He had a good smile. He had good teeth.
He has a decent smile. Yeah, decent.
Had keyword.
Yeah, yeah, it's not quite as good as it once was.
No.
No respect for authority. So he was expelled for smoking weed in the bathroom, lighting toilet paper on fire, cheated on the girlfriends, little bit of paranoia that some people reported. I can attribute some of that to weed and drug use when you're using that many drugs and that young of a brain. You're going to have some very weird things start to happen. So it's hard
Mhm.
to know what the etiology is of some of those issues. One woman, and by the way, everyone who commented was anonymous. They verified that they went to high school with him, but they were all wanted to be anonymous because they're scared.
Mhm.
And I don't blame them. This is a scary dude.
Mhm.
This woman confronted him because she had money go missing from her backpack.
Hmm.
And she told the principal and the teacher, and they sat in front of the classroom. They wouldn't let anybody leave until they found the money. Nobody fessed up. And she figured it was Wade, and so she like lit into him. She cussed him out, everything else. He called her from jail like this year.
No, a girl from school?
A girl from high school.
Wow.
So he
What
wasn't
did he
even
say? Did
like
he
in a,
confess to stealing her money?
no, I so he would not confess. She confronted him, and then he called her just recently from jail, said something really mean to her. It's like
Yeah.
so creepy. Like I don't know, maybe he just doesn't get over stuff. I don't.
Okay.
Let's see, what else did he do? Like I said, stole his
Fascinating.
parents' car, disappeared, breaking into cars, trespassing. There's not a whole lot he didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
He had a couple of head injuries from car accidents when he was 18 and 20. Between 2010 and 2019, he committed over 20 different crimes, including assault and fraud. So when we talk about criminal versatility and having a resume, this is like he did all of it. It didn't matter how small. He would light toilet paper on fire all the way up to assaulting people
Okay.
and fraud and all that. And some of
Yeah.
that goes with kind of the drug underworld that I think we're going to get into a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So this all led up to just kind of this rambunctious, problematic behavior as a teenager. As he got older, he kind of continued this pattern. We don't have quite as much history on that. But when he was with his ex-girlfriend, Kelly Matthews, some information has come out about how he treated her. And
Mm-hmm.
she tried to get help for herself and it did not go well. So I'm going to share a little bit of what happened to her. And fair warning, this is tough. Like this is kind of a tough
Mm-hmm.
a tough thing. So if you need to skip ahead for your own mental health, that's just fine. So his ex-girlfriend, Kelly Matthews, told news media authorities he was not violent towards her until he tried to kill her,
Hmm.
which is really interesting because usually we see a bit more escalation than that, but
Yeah.
this tracks with his crimes later. So I find that really interesting that he went from 0 to 60 in
Hmm.
this incident. So this happened on February 18th of 2019.
Hmm. Okay.
So this is before some of the crimes we're going to get into.
Yeah.
He choked her 2 or 3 times in a car.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh. So we've talked about strangulation as a huge risk factor.
Mm-hmm.
Also, being in a car with someone is
Mm-hmm.
really dangerous. We see that happen a lot. You're in a small enclosed space. People can inflict a lot of damage in a car. So he strangled her a couple times in the car. He pushed her to the floorboard, cut off her clothes with a knife,
Wow.
told her to stay down there until he put her in the back of the car and allegedly sexually assaulted her.
Mm,
During the assault, he bit her face. He bit her like in the chin. And she has photos of all of these injuries. He busted her
mm,
lip. He gagged her and tied a shirt around her face. And then
mm.
he tied her hands and feet together with a used garbage bag.
Wow.
Hmm. So Kelly Matthews told police,
Mm-hmm.
and he was not arrested.
Mm,
And one of the things she said is if they had listened to her, maybe those murders would have been prevented because
yeah.
he would have been arrested and prosecuted. So her story, and again, we don't know all of this. Okay, this is probably somebody who was involved in the same lifestyle. And so we know credibility with police is tough. When you're in this kind of underworld of criminal behavior, they don't always get taken seriously by law enforcement,
Yeah.
right, wrong, or indifferent. So what
Yeah.
she said was that the detective allegedly kind of treated her as if and insinuated that she was just kind of into this kind of thing.
Okay.
You know,
Interesting.
yeah, not
Okay.
explicitly like BDSM, but just kind of saying like, y'all are chaotic and crazy. This is what you do. I'm not
Yeah.
getting into it, right? And that's her story. Her story is they didn't take it seriously, and they're very upset because they feel like the murders could have been prevented.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that is the history that I have.
Okay. So he was with this girl, Kelly, because what I read is he had a different girlfriend when the murders happened.
Could be not Kelly.
Not Kelly.
Maybe,
I,
you know what? He might have assaulted Kelly when she was already his ex-girlfriend. I'm not
ooh,
sure that they were
potentially.
actually together when he assaulted her. I'll have to look into that.
Yes. Yeah, because the girlfriend that he was with, her name is Melissa.
Oh, that's right. Is that who he was talking to from the jail?
I think so. And that's who
Yeah.
he, yep.
Yep.
So, okay, so that leads us to where he was at in 2019, right?
Yes. And I have not looked at all the details of this. I only know a little bit.
Okay, so I'm going to just name the thing first and then we're going to get into it. Wade Wilson was found guilty this year in June, so this summer,
Mm.
2024. He was found guilty for murdering Kristen Melton, who was 35, and Diane Ruiz, 43. The crimes happened in October of 2019. I mean, what you just shared about his ex Kelly, that happened.
Before. So, February, he almost kills his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, Kelly Matthews, sexually assaults her, all the things.
In October of that same year. Yep.
8 months later,
He kills these two women.
he killed these two women,
Yes. Okay.
which is just bonkers that he could almost kill someone and just be out and about, bebopping around
Mm-hmm.
for all of that time. I mean, all the signs were there that he was going to do something terrible, not to mention his upbringing, right? The upbringing is scary.
Absolutely.
Not, I shouldn't say his upbringing is scary because it sounds like the adoptive family was actually trying really hard to
His
be
actions
helpful.
were scary.
His behavior was scary the whole time
Mhm.
from adolescence on,
Yep.
but he
So
almost killed someone in February. So jump to October.
here's what happened.
Okay.
So he and a different girlfriend, Melissa,
Mm.
okay, are at some nightclub and he met this guy named Jason Shepard. Jason Shepard, we don't know really who the frick Jason Shepard is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't like him already.
No, he didn't, and they didn't know each other before. They met literally at this club.
Mm.
Okay. For some reason, Wade wanted to go back to Jason's house. Melissa did not want to go. So they got into an argument because she was like, why would we go to Jason's house? Like, we don't know him, whatever.
And she's like, I don't want to go to some strange guy's house. Please and thank
Right.
you. You're terrifying enough.
Right. So Wade then takes Melissa's car and left the club.
Hmm.
Okay.
You abandoned her at the club?
Yes. He leaves her at the club. She calls a friend and she gets a ride home. He then returns again in her car.
Mm,
And that's when he met Kristen Melton and her friend Stephanie.
mm.
Okay. So they meet at the club and they're flirting, whatever. And somehow Wade talks these two girls into going to Jason's house. Why we're so married to going to Jason's house is beyond me. That's actually
Drugs,
the
drugs.
drugs party. I was
It's
trying to look that
drugs.
up. I couldn't find anything concrete.
So he talks these two women that he just meets into going on to Jason's house because
Correct.
Melissa knew better.
Correct. So then they go to Jason's house and allegedly Kristen and him sleep together.
Mm,
But then Jason's mom, so Jason also lives with his mom, mind you. So then
of course.
Jason's mom is like, why the heck did you invite three random people to our house? So then Kristen, Stephanie, and Wade then go to Kristen's house.
So Jason, I'm assuming drug dude, lives with his mom,
Yes,
and she's like, "You gotta get up out of here," like a high school party.
basically.
Oh my gosh. She doesn't know she has like a murderer
In her home.
in her home. That's
Yes.
terrifying to think about.
Yes. Well, thank God she got them out for her own safety.
For
But
her own
I mean,
safety.
obviously, shit went downhill from there.
Oh my gosh.
So they go to Kristen's house. Stephanie then leaves shortly after. So Kristen's friend, right? Stephanie leaves shortly after because she has to work. Kristen goes to sleep and Wade strangles her while she's in her sleep in her bed. And there is still like there's nothing that connects him and Kristen besides just meeting at this nightclub, right?
So they weren't fighting or anything. She's literally just sleeping and he strangled her.
Correct.
Oh my gosh.
That's what the reports say. So then Wade steals Kristen's car and her phone and calls his girlfriend Melissa numerous times, begging her to meet up with him in person. She finally agrees and they meet up, I think, in the parking lot of her work. They meet up at her work, like it's a public space. Okay. He's trying to get her in the car. She's
Mm,
refusing. So he gets out and physically attacks her
mm.
and is trying to, again, still get her in the car. She gets away from him, and then he drives off. He's still in Kristen's car.
So she fought him off.
Yes. And remember, Melissa doesn't have her car still
Right.
because he took her car earlier,
Oh yeah.
right? It doesn't
Yes.
say that she ever got it back. So I'm just assuming he still also somewhere has her car,
Yes.
but he's driving Kristen's car around.
Oh my gosh.
She gets away from him and then he leaves and he just starts like aimlessly driving around. He comes across Diane Ruiz, who again is 43 at this time, and stops to ask her for directions to a school.
Okay.
Lures her into his car somehow. She clearly gets a vibe pretty quickly because then she tries to get out. And when she tries to get out, he beats her and then strangles her. And there's a few different narratives of this. So I'm going to share one of them that I heard first, and then we can backtrack a little. So one of the stories is that she passed out. He thought she was dead, and then he began to drive her to a place to dump her.
Mm.
She then comes to, he realizes it, gets her out of the car and runs her over 10 to 20 times.
Oh.
Yes.
Do we know for sure he ran her over 10 to 20 times? Like that for
Yes.
sure happened. We just
Yeah.
don't know at what point she died.
Yes. She died when he ran her over. She was not dead by him strangling her.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. 10 to 20 times. So all this happens. He then calls his biological father
Mm.
numerous times and continues to tell his dad this story that happened. And his dad at first doesn't believe him. And he says, Wade could be a big storyteller, right? So he's maybe made stuff up that's been pretty extreme in the past and not true. So at first he doesn't believe him. Then he starts to believe him. For a second, he wants to figure out how to help him, but then he realizes the significance of this situation and basically tricked him. So he said he started to realize Wade was more or less proud of what he did, excited is what he said about what he did.
Oh gosh.
Wade wanted, this is what he told his dad, Wade wanted to make Diane's body look like spaghetti.
Oh, for the love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sick. Sick.
Sick. So what did Bio Dad have to say about that?
Well, I don't know Bio Dad's history, so for whatever reason, he had a moment of brilliance
Mm,
and told Wade basically, hey, let me send you an Uber to pick you up so you can come here and we can work this out. Right? We'll figure this out together. Let me send you a car and we'll figure this out. Wade, for some reason, believes him at some point,
mm.
gives up his location, and Biodad calls the police.
Which is weird because Bio Dad is so angry later on. And I know you're going to get into this, but Bio Dad is so angry later on that his ex-girlfriend set him up for a confession talking in jail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty wild. Biodad got him arrested. He's the one who called the police.
Oh yeah.
So Wade was arrested on the 8th. One of the things that I found really interesting, I'm going to shift gears a little. One of the things that I found really interesting is this incident is unbelievable. He had zero connection with either victim. That's the
No,
most wild part. There was
no.
no connection.
Random. And you know what? He didn't kill the woman and her friend. Like there's so many weird things.
Right.
Do you think that he would have killed Melissa if she'd gotten in that car?
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
so too. I absolutely do. And I think she knew it.
Yeah. Oh, she was terrified of him.
She was terrified. And I think that that's why she worked with law enforcement after.
So I just find it interesting. I'm going to talk a little bit about his face tattoos for a second
Yes, yes. I've been dying to know about them.
because it's pretty wild. So prior to him going to prison from 2019 to now,
Yeah.
basically, before all that, he did not have any face tattoos. He had tattoos up to his neck.
Yep.
Okay. No face tattoos at all.
And it's a big jump to go from, first of all, it's a jump to go from your body to your neck.
Yep.
And then to go from your neck to your face,
Yes.
different level.
So he got all of his face tattoos in prison.
How does that work? I mean, I know how that works, but
Yeah. What's interesting is because what I thought initially, so when I first saw his face, I didn't like do a deep dive into the case yet. Was
right.
my first thought was, in what world did these two women trust this man with not just that he has face tattoos? I know plenty of wonderful humans with face tattoos who I adore,
Absolutely.
whatever, you do you. But
Yeah.
the ones he had, so I'm thinking, like, what women would trust someone who has the Nazi symbol on his head
Yes.
and his face
Yes.
and basically a skeleton?
Also, I wouldn't get in the car with an 80-year-old man. So the fact that they're getting in with a young man who's
Right.
ginormous,
Right.
I thought the same thing though. I thought that the face tattoos, I was trying to figure
Yes.
that out. So he didn't have
Yes.
those.
He didn't have them. And here's the other thing. So he doesn't smile in like any of his court stuff because his teeth are super effed up
Hmm.
from being in prison. But before that, he had a really nice smile. That's like a big thing. He
Well,
had
they're
like a,
also messed up from the methamphetamine that he was using.
yeah, but they weren't that messed up when he went to prison.
Mm.
They got messed up in prison because he got hit in the face.
Oh, that's right. He did. He
Yeah,
got beat up a bit in
he
prison.
got beat up. Yep.
Nat and I were chuckling a little bit because we've worked with folks who've done lengthy prison sentences at times. I've worked with a couple people who have actually two who have killed people in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he may look super tough on the outside, but I will explain how this works. So when you listen to his calls with Melissa, and then there were a few other people he talked to on the phone, he's wanting money, 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 money in the kiosk, money in the kiosk, money in the kiosk. And so what
Yes.
happens in prison is people try to pool their resources, like get resources from all of their people, buy a bunch of stuff. And then not only do they have stuff that they now own from the store, whether it's food, sandals. I mean, I don't know. It's what it's a, you can pick whatever you want. They will then create their own store and barter and exchange
Yep.
things, whatever else. So it's power. It's power,
Yep.
even in prison, to have money. If you have money on your books, you
Hmm.
have the ability to do things that other people don't have the ability to do. And so he is trying so hard to get people to put money on his books.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's just like, and it's interesting because people fall for it, right? Like,
And he is working them over.
right. Well, think about it though. He got these two girls to go with him to some random dude's house. Then he gets this other woman to
Yeah.
get in his car. Like, he has some sort of swagger.
Oh,
Like,
I'm sure. Couple things before we wrap up.
yes.
I just thought it would be good to tell you that unlike some folks, his criminal record does not stop with incarceration.
Oh, big surprise.
Yeah. So the resume, you might think somebody would make a career shift at this point if they are
Yeah.
actively incarcerated. No, 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 not this dude. Couple things happened to him in prison. He was jumped and got a head injury. I guess I should say,
I think that's when he got his teeth kicked in.
uh-huh. I don't know if he's currently in prison or jail. He's probably jail awaiting sentencing, but
Yeah.
we'll check that. Okay. So even though this man is in jail, he was jumped. Then another inmate tried to hire him to kill his ex. So the inmate's ex.
Wow.
And Wade turned around and told a guard immediately turned in this other guy, which is
Oh
just
my gosh.
interesting.
He's trying to win points to get on good graces.
Yeah, maybe the inventory was low that week or something. Who
What
knows?
is he
He just needed
thinking?
something else. So this one is actually probably one of the more spooky things to me.
Hmm.
In September of 2020, so he'd been in jail almost a year after the crimes happened, okay?
Okay.
He's incarcerated. He and his cellmate attempt to break out.
How?
Okay, so they break and remove the metal window frame. I'm like, where the hell were the guards? You can just bust a window frame out?
That's insane.
A metal window frame. That made noise. I'm sorry. Anyway, I have opinions about this.
I wonder if they paid him off somehow.
Who know? I mean, this is the thing that's so insane. I mean, one of the chicks had a GoFundMe for him, for goodness sakes. Honestly, women are propping this stuff up. Anyway, I'll come back to that some other day.
Yeah.
Okay, Windows metal frame removed. There were several cracks in the thick security glass. Think of the security glass in jail. Like you haven't
What?
seen the jail. That thick security glass, there's cracks in it. Okay.
That's wild.
It's just spooky a little bit. And then a metal stool that was bolted to the cement floor had been removed. I don't know who stumbled upon this. It seems to me they were putting in work. So I don't know who was asleep at the wheel when this happened. This did not happen in 5 seconds. So I don't,
No.
somebody was on their smoke break, some guards on his
For
smoke break.
like
And
days.
Wade Wilson's like, let's go. He could have
Uh,
done this fairly quickly, but not in like 5 seconds. You know what I mean? There was
right.
banging involved.
Right.
Maybe they were scared. I would have been scared. I would have been like, where's the red button? Send in anyone else.
Yes.
Anyone else.
SWAT. We need
Absolutely.
SWAT.
Anyway, SWAT, whoever, I'm out.
Whatever.
I would quit my job that moment, right? I was not
Absolutely.
built for correctional work. We know
No.
this. Okay, so they determined that Wilson was the mastermind, and they charged him with attempted escape and criminal mischief.
Go
Some people don't
figure.
know you can get charged in jail. You can get charged with anything in jail.
Yes, you murder someone, you're gonna get charged with murder again.
It just extends, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Then another one. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Wilson and 5 other people got drug-related charges when a drug-sniffing dog found 2 bags of drugs, methamphetamine, amphetamine, loose cigarettes, narcotics, lighters, and pills
Wow.
in the jail's receiving area, which is, I mean, industrious. I don't know. He's doing some things. That wasn't
He
just
gives
for his use.
he gives zero shits.
I think he's trying to not get killed, to be frank. I think there's probably, I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
There's this,
he's trying to sell it. He wants to give it to people. He
yeah,
doesn't want to get his teeth kicked in again.
he is 2 things. Too much of a showboater
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit, some people would say, too pretty
Mm-hmm.
to do well in long-term incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got to find something. He either needs
Yeah.
to get out, which apparently he
Yeah.
tried, or he needs to be in charge financially of people's destiny in there by giving them things.
Yes.
Think of him as hospitality,
Something like that.
like that,
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get a tattoo in jail of a swastika on his face because he felt safe and in charge.
Right.
I just don't believe that.
Oh, absolutely not.
Also, we've worked with enough gang members to know that the people at the top of the food chain don't look like they're in a gang,
Right.
which is just interesting. Anyway,
Yep. Yep.
that's a topic for another day.
Yep.
Okay. Other thing I want to add, let's talk about new girlfriend,
Okay.
current girlfriend.
Got it.
Okay, as of today, from what I've read.
Shut up.
As of right in this moment, this is his girlfriend, okay? So let me introduce you to Kristen. She's a doll. Started a GoFundMe
Cute.
for him. So cute, man. She's like a gem. Don't you just want to bring this girl home to your parents? Like,
Yes. Oh, he gives zero craps who comes home with him.
oh, no, she's a nightmare. Let me tell you why. Okay. She was laughing with him on the phone about how he took a shower and had a snack at the first victim's house. So not only did he kill 2 women, boom, boom, he took a shower at the first girl's place after he strangled her and had a snack because he was hungry. And Kristen finds this hilarious. She's like, "Oh, my boyfriend's
The
hilarious."
girlfriend's name is Kristen?
Kristen.
Isn't that the victim's name? Yes.
There's a lot of Kristens.
Unless I read her name wrong, Kristen. Kristin.
Yep, that's the name of girlfriend.
Cool. So victim's name is Kristen and current girlfriend's name is Kristen. That's weird. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, he's an equal opportunity philanderer, murderer, whatever. So, I
Valid.
don't know. Okay, so her criminal history, failure to appear, which makes me probably the most mad because it's just a little bit chicken shit. Like if you do the thing, go to the court date. I know you don't want to go to jail, but you're going to go to jail. You're going to go to jail. You're going to get pulled over. You're going to go to jail. Just handle your business.
Yep.
Handle your business.
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, failure to appear, 4 counts of amphetamine and methamphetamine trafficking. So this is a drug trafficker, which is again not surprising. Not surprising that drugs are being delivered to the jail. Not surprising that his smile has deteriorated, whether it's from getting beat up or the effect of drugs on him altogether. The interesting thing is he doesn't have, in any of the pictures I saw, some of the gaunt features that you see
Mm,
with drug use. However, his chin, his jawline changes.
yep.
I wonder if some of that is due to the methamphetamine. He also strikes me as a steroid user. So again, allegedly, I don't know anything about his drug history, but that just would not surprise me at all. So yeah, she's a gem and thinks it's hilarious that he kills people that he just had sex with. That's enough to anger some girlfriends.
Right. But she's sick enough that she thinks it's funny.
Funny, sexy, who knows?
Gross.
There are no lines with these people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty wild. But going back to the tattoos, okay?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Come back to the tattoos.
So he has all these face tattoos. His lawyer, first of all, right, Nazi sign on, literally big Nazi sign on the side of his head and a small one on his face.
Yeah.
He got one on his face because his hair was covering the one on his head. God forbid he can't like show the fact that he's a literal white supremacist.
Oh,
Okay, like literally. And there's evidence to show that he was also in a gang called the Unforgiven, which I believe is affiliated with white supremacy.
and I'm assuming that's a gang.
Yes, it is a gang.
I mean, sorry, a prison gang.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
maybe.
assuming that's a prison gang. That doesn't
Probably.
sound like a street gang to me, but we can look it up.
Right. Yeah, I'll do that research because I found that to be very interesting.
That is so interesting.
So his lawyer literally attests and wins for him to be able to wear like makeup to cover his tattoos to make him look less aggressive, and he chooses not to do it.
For court.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, it's hard to know what his motivation is at this point.
Hmm.
It
Well,
really is.
honestly, I mean, his lawyer's literally like, hey, this could help you to cover up the
Yeah.
insanity on your face.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do it. He wants to look intimidating. He wants to take this to his grave.
Well, and here's the thing too. If he's psychopathic, which we'll get into, I would love to get into that.
Hmm.
Which I mean, he's got a list of things that line up with that. But one
Hmm.
of them is people with psychopathy, psychopaths,
Hmm.
do not have the same range of emotion that the average bear does. So
Yep.
incarceration for them is like a little bit inconvenient, but they find a way to work within it.
Yep.
They just go to work. They
Yep.
manipulate new people, they create a new hierarchy. Prison actually works really well for some psychopaths.
Yeah.
They'd
Yeah.
prefer to not be in there, but if they're in there, it's not devastating to them like it would be to us because they're
Right.
not connected to their lives like we're connected to our life.
No, well, they don't have empathy. They don't have
Mm-mm.
compassion. They don't actually feel connected to people.
And they're not really afraid to die either. I mean, there's a lot
Oh,
of research to suggest that they're just really not connected to much. Except comfort. They like to feel comfortable. So like having your store, having your food, being in
yeah.
charge, like,
Yeah.
having your women, whatever, that's
Yeah.
important to him.
Yeah. So he's just really fascinating to me. I think, and I'm kind of jumping ahead here. So he was convicted in June of both murders
Okay.
and will be sentenced on August 27th to either do life in prison or to get the death penalty. So that's coming
Wow.
up really soon.
I've been thinking about this. I am not a death penalty person.
Hmm.
And the reason is because our judicial system does make mistakes. And so
Yep.
I'm pretty uncomfortable with that whole thing. I also think, and I've heard from some victims actually who think that's like kind of an easy way out, that they'd rather see somebody be in prison forever.
Yeah.
When we talked about Ken McElroy,
Hmm.
and I was talking about how I think some people just can't live with other people.
Hmm.
I think some people just need to have their own island somewhere, give them food, give them water, give them whatever basic human rights, but they need to be on their own.
Hmm.
This is a person that cannot exist with other people. He will hurt people no matter where he is, whether he's in jail, on the outside, whatever. They can manage it better in jail than they can in the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
But he exists to take advantage of and hurt people at this point.
Yeah. So here's where I'm at, my friend. So Wade Wilson was convicted in June of this year of both murders. Okay. And now we are waiting on his sentencing, which his sentencing will happen on August 27th.
I didn't realize it was that soon.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch everything. I'm gonna have to
I,
watch the whole
all of it.
sentencing. Yeah.
Yeah. He is a different, yeah, he's just a different
He's a
animal.
different breed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for us to keep diving into some of this case because
Yes.
it just there's so many different dynamics and directions that this comes at, right? So like
Yes.
he's adopted.
Yep.
I don't know that much yet about his bio parents, right? But they had him as little babies, basically.
Well, and there sure seems to be some kind of predisposition to addiction, drug,
Yes.
it's like in there. It's
Yes.
baked into his
Yes.
mind.
Yes. So that gets into the whole nature versus nurture thing.
Mm-hmm.
He had this, this opportunity with
Yep.
his adopted parents to live a good life and make
Yeah.
different choices. And it's just wild. There's just a lot of different dynamics to this story. So it'll be interesting as we dive more into the court situation
Yeah.
and some of bio as much as we can find out about bio parents.
Yeah. We'll see what
And
we can find and we'll post some things. There's a couple of phone calls we want to post. One is the recording of him talking to his ex-girlfriend.
yep,
And then one is his call with Bio Dad
yep,
because ex-girlfriend set him up.
yep.
They wiretapped her communication with him in the jail because, they record jail communication.
Mhm.
And he basically admitted everything to her, and she had people there recording. So
Yep.
she set him up, and then Bio Dad talks to him about the fact that she set him up, and Bio Dad is nasty,
Yeah.
you know? This is a crazy case. I think as a
Yep.
forensic therapist, these are the cases that always catch my eye a little bit because like you said, they're complex, but also, I mean, this is a character. He's not super bright, actually.
Right.
Very impulsive. So some of these things, a lot of people prop these offenders up and make them sound cool and different and new and exciting, whatever else. It's not. It's antisocial personality disorder and some
Yep.
questionable tattoos.
Yep.
It's not actually that special. What he did to the victims is horrific.
Horrific.
And we're going to continue to dig into it and get into some of the court stuff
Yeah.
and then some psychology too.
It'll be good, guys. Tune in.
I know. Thanks for joining and watch the news like we are.
Bye, forensic friends.
I'm Janine.
And I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening and join us next week for more crime, psychology, and heart.